I did not see this one coming. Okay, 100%. This one just caught me completely off guard. I would have thought, okay, like if I would have heard Monday morning, because I stayed off the internet mostly the weekend, I was fairly busy doing other stuff. But yeah, if I would have heard that one of the big AAA gaming studios was going to get bought out, I mean, the first one that comes to mind is Ubisoft. Okay, I would have thought, oh, okay, Tencent would have completed that acquisition. That one totally makes sense. And then maybe after that, I don't know, maybe Microsoft would have got hungry and bought somebody else up. But at that point in time, I don't know, any further acquisitions by Microsoft would probably have to get approved by Congress, because they're getting eerily close to a monopoly. But you would think that a company that has such a monopoly would be able to put out a competent game. But yeah, to think that EA of all studios was going to be taken off the public market, brought private by a Habibi corporation, like what the hell? Like this one, it's legitimately shocking, because as far as I know, like they've been kind of out of the spotlight, but they haven't really been struggling. Like they've been consistently putting out some of the best-selling games of the year. Like all of their sports games just continue to print money, even though they've been of reduced quality for as long as I can remember. But to think they would have been looking for a deal, and to think that they would have executed on a buyout, I mean, I'm legitimately shocked by this. But EA Games sold for $55 billion, less than Activision Blizzard, which that does kind of make sense. But at one point in time, prior to the Activision and Blizzard merger, like EA, like it's the biggest studio that's out there. I would think. Like, this is still wild to me. But anyways, yeah, to consortium led by Saudi Arabia, Habibi. Electronic Arts, better known as EA. Oh, thanks, I didn't know that. Has announced it will be sold for an eye-popping $55 billion in a private buyout led by the Public Investor Fund of Saudi Arabia, alongside Silver Lake and Jared Kushner's affinity partners. You don't say, oh wow, look at that, huh? Oh, is those dastardly Saudi Arabians, and then also, it's got an Israeli connection. Oh, where have we seen that before? Anyways, once the deal closes, EA will no longer be a publicly traded company, that's interesting. Put a pin in that for a second. We might come back around to that. And the move is already being called one of the biggest private equity acquisitions in history. Yeah, because EA was like, especially when, Ubisoft was going through that shit last year when we were taking a look at stock prices and then just comparing it to EA. Like, EA's stock prices were like 10 times that of Ubisoft. Like, EA was super healthy. That's why it's like an EA buyout, huh? Interesting. The deal values EA at $210 per share and is expected to close by Q1 of 2027. So this time next year is when everything is all going to be wrapped up. Pending regulatory approval, EA CEO Andrew Wilson is expected to remain in charge, and the company's headquarters will stay in Redwood City, California. But the financial details are only half the story. And yeah, this is where things become, oh boy, super fucking hilarious. For years, EA has leaned heavily into DEI messaging, both in its games and its public branding. From introducing controversial character options to inserting progressive social politics into blockbuster franchises, the company has often been at the forefront of the industry culture wars. Because yeah, when I was really, really heavy into gaming, okay, early Xbox 360, PS3 era, like obviously, like I've been a gamer my entire life. I don't need to show you my fucking credentials, believe me or don't. I don't really give a shit. But yeah, EA they were kind of synonymous with two things: putting out relatively high quality. I would consider them, okay, of their big budget games, they were always of high quality, but they were also trying to shake down their customers by holding them up by their ankles until every last red cent falls and tumbles out of their pocket. Like, that's always, like, when it comes to a woke company, for lack of a better term, like EA was never really the one I would associate with. Okay, like, and again, for a lack of a better term, I would just consider them to be kind of the shyster corporation. Fucking con artists, really. On-disc DLC, day one DLC. That was EA. That was EA's business model in a nutshell. Selling you 75% of the game and then just making you buy the rest of it, either through special editions, collector's editions, or as they were the first people to put it out there, the online pass and then the season pass. They might have actually came up with the concept of the season pass, but God, if we only knew 15 years ago how much worse it would get. But anyways, so now the company is being taken over by a sovereign wealth fund tied to the country that criminalizes same-sex relationships and gender nonconformity. Fucking in Saudi Arabia, yes, same-sex relations can carry prison terms, public flogging, and even capital punishment under strict interpretations of Sharia law. Oh man, Habibi. Very policies EA championed in Western markets could not even legally exist in home country of their new financial backers. So that's probably why, yeah, a follow-up to Dragon Age of Veilguard, it's probably not going to be met with anything other than a call for Abdul to get the fucking rocks. The questions, yes, many fans are asking is simple. What happens now that EA has been sold to the Saudi Arabia PIF and its partners? Well, you can take a look at what has happened to the other Saudi-backed studios and kind of come to a conclusion that, honestly, if you're somebody who just likes good games, this isn't bad at all. This is not bad news, okay? This could have been a hell of a lot worse. Capcom. Now, okay, Capcom is a company that you can kind of roll the dice on, okay? Because its most recent release this year, Monster Hunter Wilds, like there's nothing, okay, follow me on this one. Just hear me out on this. There's nothing inherently wrong with the game. It's the performance of the game that's definitely suffered, and they still haven't gone around to fixing that. But the game itself has been pretty well received, okay? If you can actually get it to run properly, people really like the game. It has a bunch of content that's out there. It's just, yeah, it's a little bit sus on that front, but people are very much looking forward to the new Resident Evil game that's coming out in February, okay? It's one of the most anticipated releases of next year, full stop. And outside of a couple of gooners that are saying, oh, they're ugly character models, it's like, that's just a whack fucking interpretation as far as I can tell. But yeah, Capcom's doing it pretty good. Don't you remember they had swimsuits in fucking Street Fighter 6 for the first time in a very long time? So, okay, that's just Saudi having a taste of Capcom. Embracer Group, now that one's a little bit more touch and go. They can put out some decent stuff, but then they can also put out some absolute dog water. Hero Esports, it doesn't really much matter all that much. That's just gaming in general. NC Soft, Nexon, okay, that Korean publisher, right? They've been doing some pretty good stuff. Niantic, Nintendo, I got a stake in Nintendo, Scopely. SNK Corporation, that's the first one that came to mind. And then, of course, yes, Steer Studios, not familiar, but Take-Two Interactive, I mean, there you go. Because after I heard that, yeah, Saudi would be coming through and buying out EA, it's like, oh yeah, right. Because earlier this year, did a video on SNK and how they're definitely trying to right some of their wrongs. And yeah, they ended up being bought out back in 2022, if I recall correctly, by the Saudis, or at least, you know, a substantial stake in the company. They've been doing some pretty good stuff. So yeah, I don't think that it's bad at all whatsoever. But yes, what does the future of EA look like? Well, does EA continue to push DEI themes in its games, knowing that its largest owner, yes, represents a country where such values are not tolerated? And here's the good thing about, you know, any one of these Saudi affiliations, because even if you just simply expand outside the scope of video games and other entertainment mediums, like they have a very strong relationships with the TKO group, with the UFC and the WWE. And they aren't exactly, well, you take a look at some of those events that happen down there. Let's just say WWE's not exactly flying their freak flag that high when they're out there doing one of those big old events, and including, what is it, WrestleMania in 2027 is also going to be out there in Riyadh. I think that's where it's at. Riyadh, rather, not Riyadh. So yeah, they're just guys, they're just hyper capitalists. They just go with what makes the most money. And they're not all that concerned about pushing progressive politics. And as such, if you're going to be trying to do that at one of the EA Studios, a company that is also very familiar with getting rid of non-performers, new EA owners hoping AI will cut costs and boost profits, it's claimed. Yeah, and that's something that's also got studios in a tizzy. Oh no, no more easy jobs, no more adult daycare. We're actually going to have to fucking perform in our job. Oh my god, these guys are like literally slave drivers. They're gonna bring us back to the Stone Age, where we're actually gonna have to turn up to the office and work like 40 fucking hours. Oh my god, this is the worst thing that has like ever happened. EA, yes, new owners are banking big on AI and the future for the company. According to a new report by the Financial Times, the ownership group is betting on AI being able to significantly cut CEA's operating costs. Yes, per the report, the enhanced use of AI will be used as a way to also boost EA's profits in the coming years. This will allow the new owners to manage a large debt load on a company that historically carried limited net debt. Yeah, exactly, and that's another reason why it's like EA got bought out, huh? Yeah. So yes, there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of good changes that are coming, okay? And this is one of those things where, for as much as over the past year and change, you know, just documenting the downfall of the AAA Western gaming space, this is one of those things that I would consider to be a boon. Okay, getting rid of these activists to do nothing, and you've been replaced by AI bitch, bringing in an ownership group that just cares about the bottom line, doesn't give a fuck about inserting, you know, social messaging. I consider that to be a good thing, but you know who doesn't? those activist people that know that they're going to be walking a fine line moving forward. As former BioWare lead writer reads the runes on EA's Saudi deal and speculates that guns and football are in and gay stuff is out. Fucking yes! Oh my god. And the venerable RPG studio may be for the chop. Yes, indeed. Because BioWare, well, we kind of speculated ever since the Dragon Age of the Veil flop came out. And what was it? A month later, a big, massive, sweeping layoffs were going through the studio. That BioWare is not going to be long for this world. And so, yeah, you're making Mass Effect. You're the studio that made one of the greatest sci-fi trilogies of all time. And you don't want to put yourself in the guns and football category, and instead you want to put yourself in the gay stuff category. Arriva fucking Darchi. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.